Okay, so let's transfer that over to how we describe correlation coefficients. So remember, I just told you the correlation between two variables is just describing the relationship between the two. We're just describing the relationship. Where's my pause this video? Okay, so let's look at the example of the strong relationship. Remember, when it was a strong relationship, the Anthony and Eduardo were what? If it was strong, they were unbreakable together. They were closer together. So that is whenever the points, let me make this bigger. That is when the points are going to be much closer together. You can see pretty easily what direction it's going in. They're strong. It's close together. You have a strong relationship, a strong correlation. Now, when did we see the example of them being weak? When they're not all over. Just holding pinkies. You're barely holding it together. You are going through problems. You have issues. So your relationship becomes weaker. Now, that means that everything's starting to fall apart, but you can still see that in this case, for this graph, the points are going in an upward direction. They're just farther apart. They're weaker. Now, when do you think there would be no correlation, no relationship? Break up all over the place. There's no chance for redemption, no reconciliation, whatever you want to call it. So that relationship's going nowhere. No relationship, no correlation. Now, something else that falls under this category, but even though it can be strong, it would be points going in a vertical line. Just because it's not going in a positive direction or a negative direction, it's going both up and down. So I'm gonna write vertical. Ooh, that's thick. Hold up. Make that smaller. Here. Vertical. And the opposite of vertical is? So a horizontal correlation where they're going left and right. If you're going straight across, you're not going up, you're not going down, you have no correlation, you have no relationship. So no correlation. Vertical, you're going both up and down at the same time. It doesn't mean it's both positive and it's negative at the same time. You cannot have a relationship there. So horizontal. Okay. Now, the closer that you are together, the stronger you are one. Okay. So the scale that we use to describe these relationships, to describe correlation coefficient, goes on a scale from 0 to 1. Now, that can be 0 to a positive 1, a positive relationship. Things are good. You're in the honeymoon stage, or 0 to a negative 1, a toxic relationship, but you're still very, very much close together. You just don't want to let each other go, but it's still a strong relationship. 0 to 1, where 0 is just no relationship at all. So there are two things that we use to describe correlation coefficient. The very first thing you always want to check is whether this is a positive or a negative relationship, a positive or a negative correlation. So positive / negative. We also describe correlation using 3 other words. We talk about whether it's a positive or a negative, and we also talk about the strength. So the relationship can be weak. We haven't talked about it, but it can be moderate. Or it can be strong. It can be strong. Okay. Now, moderate is a word that falls in the category in between weak and strong. What is moderate? It's like okay. Like in the If it's moderate, it's in the middle. And what's in the middle of 0 and 1? 0.5. The middle of 0 and 1 is 0.5. So, but since you need a range about what number do I start at, what number do I end at, you can consider anything from 0.4 to 0.6 as moderate. Anything below 0.4 is going to be weak. Anything above 0.6 is going to be strong. But technically, moderate is your 0.5s. Okay. So we're going to take each one of these decimals, each one of these values, and we're going to put it here on our scale, see where it falls under. Okay. So the very first thing, let's look at 0.752. 0.752, first thing you want to look at, is it a positive or a negative relationship? It's a positive, so I'm going to put a plus. That means since it's a positive, am I going to fall on the left side of the zero or on the right side? On the right side. Now, actually, before I put that on, I need to know where my moderate is. So let's go ahead and label a 0.5, just so we know where the middle is. 0.5. 0.5. All right. Now, 0.752, is that gonna, we know it's on the right side of my scale, but is it gonna fall on the left of the 0.5 or on the right of 0.5? Right. On the right in between the 0.5 and the 1. Oops, I meant to put that in green. So right here, I'm gonna bring a little arrow down right here. Here's my 0.752. Now on the STAR test, you will be required to describe these numbers. And 0.752, the first description that you can put is that it is a strong or a negative. I mean, a strong or a weak. It's a strong, positive relationship. I'm not going to write the word, I'm just going to put a plus sign. 0.752 is a strong positive correlation, a strong positive relationship. Okay. Let's look at the next value. We have negative 0.857. What's the first thing you notice? It is what kind of number? Negative number. It's a negative number. So is it going to fall on the left of the zero, the right of zero? Left. So we're on this side. Okay. Actually, that should be a negative 0.5 right there. Now the 0.857, where is it going to fall, on the left or the right of the 5? On the left side. So 0.8, it should be closer than a 0.7. So I'm going to move it a little bit closer to that negative 1 right here. Bring that down. Negative 0.857. And now let's describe it. The first description is it weak or is it strong? It is a weak relation. No. What's the number? The number is 0.8. It's closer to what number? It's closer to the number 1, making it what? Strong. 0.8. Making it a strong relationship. But now, is it positive or negative? It's a strong negative relationship. A very toxic but negative relationship, right? Strong. Don't want to let each other go. The next one, negative 0.341. First thing, it's what? Negative. So we're going to go to the left side. Now, 0.341, is it going to be on the left or the right of the 0.5? Right here. So I'm assuming it's going to be somewhere right in the middle. I'm going to bring that down. Negative 0.341. That's where that would fall under, from 0 to negative 1. Now, let's describe it. Is it weak or strong? It is a weak relationship. Weak, but also negative. Weak negative correlation. Weak negative correlation. The next one. This one's a tricky one because a lot of people see it different ways. 0.046. First thing I notice is that it is positive. It's a positive. And we know it's going to fall on the right side of my scale. On what side of the 0.5? On the left side. But somebody go up there. Don't worry, you won't be on video. Somebody go up there and point to where 0.046 is. Alex. Where would you put 0.046? Okay, so what you were thinking and what most people automatically see is that it is 0.46. But notice how you have a 0 in there. So it's actually closer over here. This would be like having 50 cents. Over here is like having 4 cents. You see that? So it's this 0.046 is actually closest to what number? 0. So I'm actually going to draw it coming out of the 0 because it's just that close. 0.046. And since it is just that close to the number 0, we can consider this to be what? Not weak. No relationship. No relationship. No correlation. No correlation. Next one, negative 0.998. It's negative. But okay, now, Melissa, go up there and point to where you would put 0.998, negative 0.998. No, you already did enough. Correct, because 0.99 is like saying you have 99 cents out of $1. So it's just that close to the -1, making it a what? Negative 0. Those zeros in front of the decimal always throw me off. 9, 9, 8. Okay. Making it what kind of relationship? Strong, but what? Negative. This boy, he says strong, toxic. Yes, it's a strong negative. Yes, I did describe it that way. It is a strong negative. All right. Last one, 0.602. It is a positive, so it's going to be on the right side of my scale. But a 0.602, where is that going to fall? Since we already have 0.7 here, we know it has to be between 0.5 and 0.7. So I'm actually going to draw it going up this time since I don't want to go down again. 0.602. How can we describe 0.602? First of all, it's on the stronger side, right? Weaker side is over here, but it's 0.602. What did we say about 0.6? It's moderate. It's a moderate positive. That's what I'm gonna put next to it. I'm just gonna put MOD, moderate positive. Anything that has a 0.4 to a 0.6, you're just gonna consider moderate, okay? Let's see how it would look on a graph. Ready? With the graphs, we're actually going to work backwards. I have good news and I have bad news. The bad news is you're about to see a new variable. To describe correlation coefficient, the variable that they use to describe correlation coefficient, I'm waiting for this thing to go away. There it goes. Okay. The variable we use to describe correlation coefficient is the variable R, the letter R. I'm going to highlight that. That's a new variable. Now, the good news about it is that you're not going to see it in a formula. So don't worry, we're not going to add another letter into another formula. But you do need to know that it is the variable R. You need to know when to identify it, okay? Now, I'm going to work backwards. I'm actually going to start with my answer choices and then work my way up. Look at answer choice A, okay? Look at example A. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my R equals, okay? What direction are my points going in? Are they going in a positive or a negative direction? It's a negative direction. So I'm going to go ahead and put that negative there. But if you notice, the points are perfectly lined up. So there's no other choice but it to be what? -1. It is a perfect negative relationship, a perfect negative correlation, -1. As they start to spread out, then it's not a straight line. So yeah, it's a perfect negative relationship. And we're actually going to write that in as well. We're going to write, on your homework, it's going to say perfect. So I'm going to write perfect. I'm gonna put that in quotation marks because on the STAR test, I haven't seen the word perfect. It actually just describes it as strong negative, okay? Strong, the NEG, strong negative, okay? Let's look at C. We're gonna jump over to C. What direction are those points going in? Why not? It's not in a straight line, but they're not going up, they're not going down, it's just in a ball. So there's no correlation here. And if there's no correlation, that means that my R value, not correlator, my value for R or my correlation coefficient has to be closest to what number? Closest to 0. What number out of all of the ones that are left is the closest one to 0? 0.08. 0.08. You have that 0 in front. It's closest to 0. I'm put a check mark. That way I know which ones I'm eliminating. Answer choice D or example D. What direction are those going in? So I'm going to start with R equals a positive what? Since they're perfectly lined up, this can only be one choice. What is it? R equals a positive 1. R equals a positive 1. They're perfectly lined up. There's no doubt about the fact that it is a positive relationship, that it's going upwards. Okay, so once again, on the homework, it'll say perfect, just because that is the highest it can go and the negative 1 is the lowest it can go. But on STAR test, you'll just see strong positive. Okay. Now we only have 3 examples left. Out of those 3 examples, which one's the one that's not alike the others? B, E, or F? E. E. Both B and F are negative relationships because they're both going down. E is the only one left that's going up. So what's the only answer choice that is showing one that's going up? Correct. R equals 0.86. 0.86. Meaning it is a strong relationship because you can easily tell that those points are going in an upward fashion, but they're still a little bit far apart. Not exactly perfectly lined up. So this is still strong positive. Strong positive. I'm gonna put POS. Now we only have B and F left. They're both going down, so I can't, that's not gonna help me. R is equal to a negative. R equals negative something. What's the biggest difference between B and F? B is stronger because it's closer. So out of the 2 numbers left, out of the 2 values left, which one is the stronger one? 0.94. 94 is stronger than a 7. So 94. Strong, positive. And notice the farther they are apart, the closer it goes to 0 or the less it is. So negative 0.7. Okay, 0.7, I'll fix it. This is also still considered a strong negative. Okay, and I had a correction over here. Thank you for that. Caught on video, negative. All right, so go ahead and glue this into page 78, which should be behind the new tab.